What's going on, Giants fans? If you're looking for daily, free videos around the latest Giants news and rumors and Giants draft coverage as we get closer to the 2022 NFL Draft, this is your channel. So go down and hit that big red button. We're trying to get to 8,000 subscribers by the time we get to the NFL Draft, and I need your help, so go down right now and hit that big red button. Welcome into New York Giants Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Marshall Green. In today's show, Jordan Reid of ESPN, he put out a 7-round mock draft strictly for the New York Football Giants. So shout out to you, Jordan. And in today's show, we're going to run through it, and then I'm going to grade every single pick. So without further ado, let's get to it. With pick number 5 in the first round, he had the Giants selecting Evan Neal, the offensive tackle out of Alabama. And whether Ike Mekwonu was on the board or not, we don't know. But I love the pick of Evan Neal. It fits a need. They need a big body at the right tackle spot, and Evan Neal is one of the best tackles in this draft. I give this an A+ grade. He's a great player, arguably the best offensive tackle in this draft. I have him as my offensive tackle number 2. I like Ike Mekwonu a little bit more, but I still give it an A+ because it fills a position of a big need. And it's a home run pick. If you can get Evan Neal or Ike Mekwonu at pick number 5, I want to see Joe Schoen sprint to the desk and hand Roger Goodell the card that says we want Evan Neal, the offensive tackle out of Alabama. Because when you look at what he did this past year, his Pro Football Focus grades and his stats, they're flawless. Gave up just 2 sacks, an overall grade of 84.5, a pass block grade of 80.4, a run block grade of 83.6, and he is just a physically imposing beast. He's someone that weighs about 340 pounds, but if you looked at him, it just doesn't even look like that. This guy almost looks like a tight end. I'm a big fan of Evan Neal, but I do like Ike Mekwonu a little bit more, and I want you to weigh in right now. Who do you want? If 5 is on the clock and Ike Mekwonu and Evan Neal are both there, I want you to pick an offensive tackle for me. Do it in the comments. If you want Ike Mekwonu, go down and type IE, or if Evan Neal out of Alabama is your guy, you can go down and type EN. With pick number 7, Jordan Reid of ESPN, he had the Giants selecting Kayvon Thibodeaux, the edge rusher out of Oregon. So you get arguably the best offensive tackle in the draft, and some people have Kayvon Thibodeaux as their second best edge rusher in this draft. I give this one an A-. An A+ for the Evan Neal pick and an A- for the Kayvon Thibodeaux pick. And kind of only because Kayvon, he's a polarizing prospect. Some have him as a top 2 guy. Some people have him as their 10th prospect on their big board. There's some questions about his work ethic. He kind of eased up off the gas in the last couple games of the season. He battled some injuries, but his production on the field at Oregon, that can't be disputed. His freshman year, as a true freshman, 35 tackles, 14 tackles for loss, 9 sacks, and 5 QB hits. He was the number 1 player coming out of high school, and he lived up to that bill at Oregon the next year, 9.5 tackles for loss. His sack number's a little bit low. He kind of reminds me of Jadeveon Clowney. Not the high sack number guy, but he's a physically imposing, dominant presence in the run game. He can get off blocks really easily. He has a very great first step. He is an athletic freak, and I would love to see him in New York Giants blue. He would be the biggest and best edge rusher they have had since JPP. So I want you to now pick an edge rusher for me. Would you rather have Travon Walker at pick number 7 out of Georgia, or would you rather have Kayvon Thibodeaux out of Oregon with pick number 7? I think actually Travon Walker might go first, but I like Thibodeaux a little bit more. Get down in the comments and let me know who you would rather draft if you're the Giants. With pick number 36 in round 2, he selected Kaiir Elam, the cornerback out of Florida, and I'm a big fan of Elam. He's about 6'2", ran a 4.3 40. This is someone that uses his length and his long arms to be a physically imposing threat at the corner spot. He likes to get his hands on you in a press man type of role, and I give it an A grade. He fits this defense that Don Wink Martindale wants to run to a T. He wants to press. He wants to get in your face on the defensive side of the ball. Him and Wink, along with Adoree Jackson, those are 2 good corners that fit perfectly in that defense. I want to see what that defensive back duo can do over the next 3, 4, 5 years. Elam, he gets a little handsy at the top of routes. He got flagged a little bit too much for my liking at Florida, but he can learn that at the NFL level. He can learn from a guy like Adoree Jackson. I think he would be a great James Bradberry replacement. Last year at Oregon, he allowed a completion percentage of 52.8 when he was targeted, had one interception. Not the most type of ball hawk type of corner, but he's a lockdown corner that you can put on one side of the field, and he can neutralize a number 1 wide receiver or a number 2 wide receiver. It may take a couple of years to get to be that elite corner in the NFL, but I see the potential there. He had 5 pass breakups and only allowed 2 touchdowns at Florida. But what's a bigger need for the Giants? Is it an edge rusher or is it a corner? If you listen to Wink Martindale, he thinks corners are more important than edge rushers. He thinks coverage can manufacture pressure, and exotic blitzes that he runs manufactures pressure. So if you think edge is a bigger need, go down and type edge, or if you think a corner is a bigger need, go down and type CB. In round 3 with pick number 67, Jordan Reid had the Giants drafting Channing Tindall, the inside linebacker out of Georgia. A crazy stat about Tindall is he didn't start one game at Georgia. That just shows you how many dogs, no pun intended, they had on that defense. And I give this a B grade. It fits a position in need. The Giants, they need an inside linebacker to pair alongside Blake Martinez. I love Tay Crowder, but he's someone that can't be your number 2 linebacker in a competitive defense. It fits a need, and he's a solid football player. One of the most athletic linebackers in this draft class. When you look at what he did at the combine, he really blew away the competition. He ran a very fast 40 time of 4.47. This is someone that's an athletic freak. He's a sideline to sideline tackling machines. It's just my one concern with Tindall is his football IQ and his ability to recognize plays and get after ball carries quicker. When you watch him and Nakobe Dean at the same time, Nakobe Dean is just much quicker with his instincts, and he makes moves sideline to sideline and downhill a little bit faster. That's why Nakobe Dean's going to be a first-round pick. But Tindall at Georgia, where he didn't start a game, he had some pretty impressive stats. 67 tackles, 7.5 tackles for loss, 5.5 sacks. He's an impressive player. This is someone that can blitz if need to. He's 6'2", ran a 4.40. This is someone that would be a great linebacker in a Wink Martindale defense. He would get him open on free rushes, and I think he would take complete advantage of that. But I want to play a little bit of a game right now. Get in the comments and name a random Giants linebacker. It doesn't have to be one on the roster right now. Forever. An all-time Giants linebacker. Don't name Lawrence Taylor. Give me someone like Michael Boley, someone that you think I wouldn't know of. I'll be reading the comments to see if you can stump the Schwab. With their second, third round pick and pick number 81, he being Jordan Reid of ESPN, Isaiah Likely, the tight end out of Coastal Carolina. And this is one of my favorite picks in the draft. It fits a position of need, and I really like this prospect. I give it a B+. When you go and watch Isaiah Likely play, you can just see that he has so many natural receiving skills. He can get open with his hands. He has nice feet, and he has a large catch radius. He has a little bit, short and stubby arms, but you wouldn't know that by watching his tape. 59 grabs last year, 912 yards, 15.5 yards per catch, and 12 touchdowns. This is someone that I think could really pop in the National Football League. I think he kind of fits that Delaney Walker type of role as a tight end, maybe a Gerald Everett, someone that's more of a pass-catching tight end than a run-blocking tight end, but in a Brian Daboll offense where he could take over as the Dawson Knox role. I really believe that Likely has superstar potential in the NFL if he goes to the right system, and I think the Giants could be that system. I'm a big fan of Likely, a playmaking tight end that can split the seam very, very well. In round 4, he had the Giants selecting with pick number 112, Jerome Ford, the running back out of Cincinnati. I kind of wasn't the biggest fan of this pick because I just see that the Giants have bigger needs in the 4th round. So I give it a C grade. And it's not because Jerome Ford is a C grade player. He absolutely balled out last year at Cincinnati. I just truly believe that they can get a bigger player at a bigger position of need than a running back. I mean, this guy, he had 19 touchdowns last year, almost 1,400 rushing yards on 215 attempts, and an average yard per tote of 6.1. He is a downhill runner. Not an absolute burner, but he could be an early down back in the NFL. I'd like to see him be a little bit better in the receiving type of grade. But the reason I gave it a C grade is because the Giants, they have bigger needs, in my opinion, than a running back in the 4th round. They have running backs on this roster already that I think are already going to be on this roster and already have gotten their spot on the 53-man roster. When you look at Saquon Barkley, this is his year. I don't want to sound mean about it, But this is the year you run Saquon Barkley into the dirt. Give him 300 carries. Make him show you that he can be a legit RB1 in the National Football League, because after this year, you're going to have to decide on his future. And if you bring someone in like Ford to split the carries, you'll never get a real idea of what Saquon Barkley can be. I also like Matt Breida as the RB2. You just drafted Gary Brightwell last year on day 3 of the NFL draft. Didn't get much of an opportunity. He was okay on special teams. I want to see what he can do with the rock. I'm not the biggest fan of what he did at Arizona, but he's not a complete total stiff. And then he just signed Antonio Williams in free agency from the Buffalo Bills. So should the Giants draft a running back in round 4? I just showed you 4 guys, and I think 3 of those guys are locks to make the 53-man roster. I understand you need another back, but round 4, in my opinion, is a little bit too early. You can get a great guy like in round 5, round 6, or round 7. Type Y for yes or type N for no if you think the Giants should draft a running back in round 4. Another pick I was a big fan of, the interior offensive lineman out of Kentucky, round 5, pick 147, Luke Fortner. And if versatility, if you looked it up in the dictionary, a picture of Luke Fortner would pop up. And I give this a B grade because it's a similar thing, as you can see, that Jordan Reid did. He picked solid players, but he picked players at positions of need. The Giants, they have a need at interior offensive line. He played left guard. He played center. He played right guard. And I think he's going to play center in the National Football League. The past 3 years at Kentucky, he played left guard 1 year, he played center 1 year, and he played right guard at another. And he succeeded at all positions. This past year at Kentucky, allowed just 2 sacks, had a PFF grade of 85.1, a run block grade of 84.7, and a pass block grade of 82.8. Not the best offensive lineman in the world, but someone that could be a valuable starting center in the National Football League for a while. Had allowed just 1 QB hit this last year and 2 quarterback hurries. I like Luke Fortner a lot, and he could be a starter for the Giants for a long time in this league. Then the Giants, they go out and they draft one of the fastest players in the NFL in round 6 and pick number 173, and that's Tyquan Thornton, the lengthy and speedy wide receiver out of Baylor. I'm a big fan of this pick, and I give it a B+ for it. In the 6th round, you just throw darts at the dartboard. You look for upside. And that's what Thornton has. 6'2", 181 pounds, so he's very tall, extremely lanky, but he ran a 4.28 40-yard dash. This dude is an absolute blazer. You can put him on the outside, and if a safety doesn't shade that way, he can run right by that cornerback, and that's what he did time and time again at Baylor this past year, where he had 10 touchdowns and had 62 grabs for almost 1,000 yards, a 15.3 average yards per catch. He's a 6th-round pick, so I'm not going to expect him to be a contributor right away. But can he slide into that Darius Slayton role? He's faster than Slayton. He had a better college career than Slayton. Slayton, his rookie year, after being a 5th-round pick, he balled out. And right now, that's what I think Tyquan Thornton can be. In the 6th rounds, you draft guys with upside, and that's what Thornton has. 6'2" with a 4.28 40. You just can't coach speed like that. But name a wide receiver you want the Giants to draft. Maybe you want someone in the 2nd round, like a Sky Moore or someone else. Or maybe you want to take Garrett Wilson at pick number 7. This is your chance to sound off in the comments section. Name a wide receiver you want the Giants to draft. And with the final pick the Giants have, that being round 6, pick number 182, he selected the edge rusher Jeremiah Moon out of Florida. And I was just like, I'm not that big on Jeremiah Moon. This is someone that I gave it a D grade because you look this guy up on YouTube and you can't even find a highlight tape. The last highlights that you see of this guy was when it was a game on ESPN, and the bottom line ticker said breaking, Andrew Luck has retired. So he's been in college football for a while. He played 6 years at Florida, but this past year at Florida, 49 tackles, 3.5 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 1 forced fumble. I mean, he's all right. He's kind of a good athlete, 4.76 40-yard dash, 6'5", 250 pounds. Someone that I think maybe could be a special teams player down the line. I don't see him really being a complete edge rusher in the NFL. He played D-end early on in his career at Florida, but they moved him out to an outside linebacker type of role. A solid player, but someone that's going to be fighting to make this roster if the Giants do take him in the 6th round. A quick recap and my grade of this mock draft, I give it a B. I really like Evan Neal, Kayvon Thibodeaux, and Kaiir Elam. If you get those 3 guys with your first 3 picks, Joe Schoen, he may have a statue outside of MetLife coming very soon. I also like Isaiah Likely a lot. I think he has star potential in the National Football League. Luke Fortner, I could see him as a starting interior offensive lineman for a long time for the New York Giants. And then Tyquan Thornton, I love that pick. Long, lanky, 4'2", 40. He could be your John Ross or Darius Slayton replacement if push came to shove. I give this one a B, but I want to hear from you in the comments section. Grade this mock draft. Not the best one I've seen, not the worst one I've seen, but you know the rules. If you didn't give it an F, it wasn't really a good mock draft. So grade it for me, A, B, C, D, or F.